Every day I'm coming to find that I hate Biden just a little bit more. And a little bit more hate day after day after day turns into a metric ton of cow manure after a not very long period of time. Oh, I know what you're saying, but Eli Biden isn't president. Yeah, but I honestly, in my heart of heart, feel that the only reason we have this current administration is because of Biden's idiocy. If Biden had come in, he had done his 4 years in office, they had done a real primary. Oh, we would not be in this mess right now. But he didn't. He didn't because he thought he was JFK. And the Democrats are so screwed in the head, they went along with it for some reason. So, anyways, there we are. Again, if you don't know what I do, my pride and joy. My pride and joy, Silicon Dojo. Authorityless, gatekeeperless, free to end user, hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever it is you want to do. We have upcoming classes. That's not the upcoming. Oh, yeah, we have a tech teacher question and answer session that is coming up this Friday. That's going to be on Zoom. We have our old live classes that are here. We have a whole self-study program, 277 members, or a self-study program for introduction to Python right now. We have office hours. I'm completely booked up today. These are free office hours where I sit with you and talk with you about your career or technology or whatever else. Actual questions there. But anyways, this is what I care about. This is what keeps me sane in an insane world. But here's the deal. It's the social media world. It's the YouTube world. And people just don't pay very much money for classes on Active Directory. Oh, are you going to teach me how to actually make my life better? Yeah. I don't think I'm going to pay for that. Oh, you're going to sit there and scream about stupid crap none of us can do much about? Hey, we'll throw money at that. And that is how the world works. And that is why I do the Daily Blob. Yeah, Louis gave me crap. He's like, oh, I see you're back doing the Daily Blob again. I'm like, yeah, Louis. Yeah, Louis. Wait until you have to confront client acquisition cost again. Hey, Louis, why don't you walk away from your computer repair business and then starting from nothing or whatever, then try to build something new. Yeah, you're gonna run into client acquisition cost. And here's the fact of the matter: a couple of my brain cells every day that I provide to you folks so that I can create these commentary videos is cheaper in client acquisition cost than paying AdWords. So there we go. We're up to 500 members. I'm very happy. So Silicon Dojo, it is a membership site. It's a free membership site. Everything there is free, but it's a free membership site. But we're up to 500 people now that are actually members of SiliconDojo.com, and I'm very excited. Maybe in a year or so, maybe in a year, commentary can be in the past, but probably not. Because anyways, stupid crap is lucrative. Stupid crap is lucrative. That's the reality. That's the reality. Try to sell a carrot. You look at it, right? A bag of carrots costs about $1.50, right? Some potato chips or ice cream or whatever costs like $4 or $5 at this point. People are willing to spend more money on the crap that's gonna kill them, and that's just reality. Again, as the very old white man once told me, Eli, I'm not telling you it's a good system, Eli. I'm telling you, it's a system. It's a system we have. That's the thing. It is the system that we have. So, anyways, Trump is not bringing in tariffs. Trump has brought in tariffs, or Trump has brought in the first round of tariffs, along with all the other idiocy going on. And to be clear, when you're wondering what my bias is, as I've said for many years at this point, you do not necessarily need good systems for business and all that kind of stuff. You need stable systems. My big issue right now with the Trump administration is who the fuck knows what's going on? And when you don't know what the hell's going on, how confident are you to sign long-term contracts? Because again, one of the things to think about, right, is if you're going to start a business, again, just a little crappy retail store, the least of the least that you're going to sign is going to be a year. Is going to be a year, right? So when you sign a business lease, you don't actually sign it month to month. You actually sign it for the full amount, right? So if you spend $2,000 a month on a retail space and you have a year lease, you're actually signing a $24,000 contract that you happen to be paying on a monthly basis until it's over with. 24,000 ain't much, right? That's 1,000 square foot or something. So again, you're thinking about a pretty small business with a very short lease, and you're already talking about $24,000 that you've got to guarantee, right? You start thinking about bigger businesses. Again, you start talking about 5 and 10-year leases. Again, $2,000 a month, but the whole cost of it is whatever 10 years of that is, right? That starts to get very scary. Again, hiring employees, the whole 9 yards. Right, this is long-term dipshittery. Right, again, like if you're gonna onboard an employee, so like one of the interesting things in the technology world, if you're gonna onboard a tech employee, it literally takes 3 months to 1 year to fully onboard a tech employee. So an employee that you might be spending anywhere between $100,000 to $200,000 plus benefits, it might be a full year before you're getting full value out of them. How many of those jackasses don't even make it to the end of the year before they jump ship off to something that looks better, right? So think about all these costs. Again, as somebody who runs an organization, as somebody who's trying to get the ball down the field, take their ship down the ocean, think about all this stuff you got to worry about. And now we're in a world of chaos. Who the hell knows what tomorrow's going to look like? Like it was interesting with the whole Colombia debacle, right? Made Trump look strong, made us look like jackasses. Great, Trump looks strong. The United States looks like a pathetic piece of shit. But anyways, right? So he decides to do these massive deportations. So deport. So shoves a whole bunch of Colombians onto an airplane, sends the airplane down to Colombia. President of Colombia says, "We reject the airplane. You're not doing it dignified enough or whatever." Anyways, that was his own idiocy. So airplane stops in Honduras or whatever for them to work it out. So Trump basically says, we are just gonna fucking hammer you with tariffs, right? 25% tariffs across the board. You don't bend the knee to the orange man. Orange man gonna break you. And so the thing is, like with Colombia, you might be sitting there and you're looking at Colombia, and this is what the newspapers did. This is what the journalists did. They kind of poo-pooed it. They were like, well, it's not that significant. They're small, but it shows you what Trump will do. Well, here's the thing. Trade between Colombia and the United States. So we import $14 billion worth of products every year from Colombia, right? Now, here's the thing. Compared to our entire imports and exports and all that kind of stuff, it is relatively small, but it is $14 billion. Right? So look at your business. Look at the business that you run. Look at the business that you might be, an employee of, and think about what your annual recurring revenue is. Is it $1 million? Is it $10 million a year? Now think about how many of your businesses would fit into 14 billion, right? And we're talking about possibly thousands of businesses in the United States that rely on importing from Colombia. And now all of a sudden, the cost of their imports is going to shoot up by 25% because Trump is having a fucking bitchy ass day and trying to prove how manly he is in this world of social media alpha males, right? Blink of an eye. And so what this is posited as, this is punishment to Colombia. If Colombia doesn't acquiesce, we will punish them. But the issue is, again, with all this, it punishes us. It punishes us, right? Yes, it does punish Colombia, but it also punishes us. Not only does it punish Colombia, but it also risks destabilizing Colombia, right? Because one of the big things is drugs and immigrants coming through the border. Hey, hey, you know what keeps a place from turning into a narco state and having their people flee? Yeah, shredding their fucking economies. Anyways, so the president there did acquiesce, didn't bend the knee, right? Illegal immigrants went back to them. They no longer have the tariffs. But again, it was the blink of an eye. Again, imagine if your business is importing coffee from Colombia. Imagine if you have employees, the whole 9 yards. All of a sudden, the cost for you to buy goods shoots up by 25%. And then it drops by 25%, all in the blink of the eye. How confident are you of the business environment. It is not about whether you fired somebody today or whatever else. How confident are you to rent another warehouse? How confident are you to go to the bank in order to get a loan in order to buy another roasting machine? How confident are you of saying, well, we don't quite have enough money for another employee, but I'm willing to bite the bullet and lose some money on my side because I think we're going to grow. So I'm willing to invest now so that I can do that. How does that all look? And that's where we get to now with the tariffs. Tariffs. So 25% tariffs against Mexico. Mexico. 25% tariffs against Canada, except for energy. Energy, that's curious. Only 10% there. And then 10% across the board tariffs going to China. And the curious thing about this is how Trump is pushing this through. So he should not have the ability to do this. And again, here's an interesting thing. Here's an interesting issue. What happens when people play by the actual rules? Not the rules that everybody understands them as, but the actual rules of the game. And so he should not be able to do these tariffs. Just point blank, these tariffs should not be able to go through because again, this is trade balance issue thing here. It should have to go through Congress, the whole 9 yards. Basically, what he's trying to push through though is that it is an emergency. So one of the weird quirks with our checks and balance systems here in the United States is the whole concept of a national emergency, right? So if you have a national emergency, you don't necessarily want to try to convince 600 people to all make the exact same decision because you're always going to have somebody doing something stupid, right? So in an emergency, in a war, in a disaster, in whatever else, the idea is that the president can take the reins of the government to do what is required to get through the emergency. And so that's one of the reasons why Trump keeps talking about the immigrants coming through the southern border as invaders. Invader. Again, think about words. Think about words. Illegal immigrant, undocumented immigrant, invader. Same damn person. Same damn person. If they're an illegal immigrant, right, you have a story in your mind about what an illegal immigrant is, right? You hear illegal immigrant. First thing you hear is that they're breaking the law. Fuck them. An undocumented immigrant. You have a story about an undocumented. The first thing you hear is undocumented. Fuck. Right? They're an immigrant. Their paper. I mean, goddamn the government bureaucracy. This is just the government fucking these people over again, right? And then you hear invader, and then you're like, ah, right? Anyways, this is what happens when you play word games. Boys and girls, when you play word games, it only gets stupider. It only gets stupider. So anyways, so now he calls them invaders. So if they're invaders, then we have a national security crisis at the southern border. And then with the fentanyl crisis, which we really do have, we have this whole issue with fentanyl. People are dying of opioid addictions and all that kind of stuff. Again, the Purdue family or the Sackler family is, watching it from their yachts. Just gonna point out the billions and billions and billions of dollars the family that put this on the American public made off of this whole debacle. But they're rich white people. Can't fuck with them, now can we? So anyways, again, screaming at Mexico about that. And so what's interesting about this is that he's saying it is a national security threat. This is a national emergency. Ergo, putting 25% on Mexico, 25% on Canada, and 10% on China. The weird part about this is if you want to talk about illegal immigration, yes, the illegal immigrants are coming through the Mexican border. Again, there can be an argument about what Mexico's responsibility there is. You can have a whole bunch of arguments, but okay, so illegal immigrants are coming through the Mexico border. Illegal drugs are coming through the Mexico border. We all know, right? Fentanyl. Again, China manufactures fentanyl and somehow gets into the U.S. Look, nation-state actors. Nation-state actors do what nation-state actors are going to do, right? We use cocaine. We use cocaine and drugs in order to fund a war over in Iran or whatever, Iran, Iraq, years ago. Now China is, funding the production of fentanyl to weaken their adversary. So again, you want to put tariffs on China. Nah. who knows if it's gonna do anything, but whatever. But then you got Canada in there. You got Canada in there. And you're just like, what the fuck's that about? Again, that's the whole funny thing like with Trump. Like Trump always like starts with like and then you always get to the it was like with the whole immigrants with his first term. And he was like, he's illegal. We gotta build a wall on the southern border. And you're like, okay, right. Like it or hate it, at least you understand where he's coming from. And then all of a sudden he was saying that foreign exchange students had to go home. Like when COVID shut down schools, he was like, well, now foreign exchange students have to leave. It's like, what? Well, if the schools are closed, then they shouldn't be here. And you're just sitting there like, I have never actually heard anybody complain about foreign exchange students. Oh no. Have you seen those horrible foreign exchange students that pay like 10 times the rate of every other student in school? They come here to get educated, and if they're good and smart enough, they get to stay and be productive in our economy. Damn those foreign exchange students. That's why I kind of feel like with Canada, I'm not saying no fentanyl comes in through Canada. I'm not saying there's no illegal immigrants through Canada. I'm just saying, really? Like, who was like, oh, it's like Wisconsin? It's North Dakota? Is North Dakota like, we're gonna start shipping our illegal immigrants to San Francisco because we're inundated. We can't deal with these 5 people that crossed the border this month. So anyways, somebody's going after Canada for that. And so it'll be curious to see how this works out. So Canada has already said they're going to do retaliatory tariffs. Mexico says they will probably do retaliatory tariffs. And China's going to do whatever the hell China does at the end of the day, which will be kind of curious. They actually are playing 5D chess. They are ahead of us. They have already discovered the tools to 6D chess, I believe, which I think is funny. They're not playing our game, boys and girls. They're not playing chess. We're talking about, oh my God, like Elon Musk and Trump are playing like 4D chess, and they're playing Go. How do you play Go? I don't even know how to play Go. We keep talking about chess because I actually know chess. I don't even know the rules to Go, which I think probably says if you really want to understand the metaphor for the Chinese American relationship right now, we keep talking about 4D chess, and none of us know how to play Go. None of us really know what the hell a Go board looks like. But anyways, right? And so it'll be curious. I'll be curious to see what happens with this. It's going to do a lot of economic damage. One of the biggest things is because this is all short term, this is all immediate, and it puts a lot of questions on the table about what the future looks like. If you add this to all of the other insanity that's going on, so Doge is going in. Apparently, they're going to get rid of USAID. So USAID, funds foreign healthcare projects and that kind of stuff to the tune of $72 billion a year. And they're basically trying to destroy that thing overnight. There's a hell of a lot of question marks around that. He wants to dump a massive amount of federal office buildings. So the federal government, again, not a bad thing, but Jesus, slower. So the federal government has just an insane amount of office buildings that they have too many of. And so he's looking at dumping those on the market. And again, that's one of the things to be thinking about, like with the value of something. The value of something is only known at the time of transaction, when somebody hands money to the other person. So can you imagine, let's say if you're in DC or whatever, or some other place that has a big federal presence, you're thinking about possibly buying or renting office space, and you know that tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of square feet of office space might come on the market damn near overnight, maybe tomorrow, or maybe next month. Do you want to sign a lease on 100,000 square feet of office space when you know the value of office space in your area may literally drop by 25%, basically at Trump's whim? Right? That's a concern there. People being laid off. Again, this whole idea that they're going to be laying off federal employees. Federal employees are generally good paying jobs with benefits and the whole 9 yards. People with mortgages, the whole deal. You start laying those people off en masse, it is going to have significant economic ramifications. Each one of these things will have economic ramifications. And when you do them all essentially in tandem, in short order, we really do not know what the consequences of that will be. And so that's where this gets to be very curious. One of the things Canada has said, which is kind of interesting, is basically that they are literally going to be targeting the exports of red states. So if you work for a company that creates Kentucky bourbon, Canada ain't gonna be buying the Kentucky bourbon anymore. And again, it is an interesting thing to think about how niche this can be, like where one sector may be fine and other sectors are screwed up. So if they stop buying for particular sectors, so was it Ontario? I think it was Ontario came out. Other provinces up there have come out and basically said their liquor boards are going to stop buying American alcohol. This is hundreds of millions of dollars a year of product. And so if they're not going to buy hundreds of millions of dollars a year of product, and you think about what your salary is divided by hundreds of millions, that's how many employees go the fuck away, right? In the blink of an eye, beyond all of the other stuff going on. Again, what's interesting, like with the whole tariff, so like softwood, like this is great. Hey, you know what North Carolinians need after a biblical disaster? Yeah, we need the cost of our construction materials to skyrocket. Won't that be lovely? I think gypsum comes out of Mexico, and a lot of the wood that we use for framing houses and things comes out of Canada. That is now going to be 25% more expensive. So when you're trying to rebuild your house after the devastation and you're already screaming because FEMA hasn't done enough, don't worry, Trump is there to jack up the cost of you being able to rebuild your house and have a life again. All right. These are consequences. These are dominoes that will continue to fall, and we really don't know how far everything is going to go. It will be curious to see from a price point how much this affects us and the grocery stores. Because I think one of the problems too is when we talk about numbers, people don't really think about how these numbers actually work out. So one of the things that we're told right now is again the tariffs, right? 25% tariffs, right? So if you go out and you buy a television, right, and the television was $1,000, it's very easy to think with a 25% tariff, the television is going to now be $1,250, which may or may not be the case. In some items it will, and in some items it won't. And so that's one of the things that I'll be curious to see how this works out. So basically, when you import, you pay the tax on the value of the goods that are imported, right? Well, when they're getting imported, you're not reselling them. Again, remember, profit is the difference between what you bought something for and what you sold it for. And so what does that profit look like, right? So if you have a massive profit margin, so I talk about profit margins, 1x, 2x, 10x profit margin. Let's say you have essentially a 10x profit margin. Let's say you buy a good for $10 and you sell it for $100. Right. So again, let's say you're doing consulting services, that type of thing. So whatever good you're selling, not a lot of other people sell that particular thing. So there's not a lot of competition there. Right. So you buy it for 10, you sell it for 100. Now here's the thing. You're going to pay that tariff on the $10. So that product now goes from $10 for you to $12.50 for you. You're still selling it for $100. So there is a reasonable question in that particular circumstance. Will that cost get transferred to the customer? Will it go from $100 to $102.50? Now, here's the interesting thing. Again, psychologically, people like $100. People like even numbers. So trying to sell something that's $102.50 is actually harder than trying to sell something that's $100. So for me, if the cost of a good that I purchased went up by $2.50 on this month, I would keep it at $100 just to keep selling products. But one of the things to realize, though, with me as a business owner, is that as a tax that I had to pay, and that amount I can now no longer use to go build new infrastructure. That's an amount that I can't use to hire an employee. That's an amount that I can't use. That is a tax that Trump is directly taking out of my pocket just to penalize me from purchasing from one of these places. Well, the thing on the flip side is, again, we look at the profit margins. One of the interesting things nowadays with this concept of just-in-time inventory is we've created logistics systems that are so smooth that essentially companies have competed on profit margin to reduce that profit margin. So instead of being a 10x profit margin, it's now a 0.1x profit margin. So you buy something for, let's say, $90 and you sell it for $100. So if you buy it for $90 and you sell it for $100 and you have a 25% tariff, that now means your cost for that has gone up to something like $115, which means all of that is going to go to the customer plus more, so you keep your profit margin. So now the customer goes from paying $100 to $125. And, since it's got to go up anyway and customers are going to be pissed anyway, you might as well jack it up to 130. Me as a business person is like, fuck, I've got to jack the price up to $125. This is going to piss a lot of people off, and I'm going to lose customers because of this, and it's going to be a complete and utter shit show. What about 150? I bet we can convince people to buy 150. Again, think about it. If I'm selling surveillance cameras. So back in the day, one of our big profit drivers was surveillance cameras. So I'm selling surveillance cameras. Again, what's the value of a surveillance camera? A .002 lux vandal-proof surveillance camera. Do you know what that should cost? Especially if it's white box. It's got my little name on it. It's our model. So I was selling it for $100. That's fine selling, right? I buy it for $90. I sell it for $100. I get my little $10 profit, but I'm putting a lot of them in, whatever. So now I start looking at like, you know what? I was selling it for $100, but now with the tariffs, again, I got to sell it for at least $125 for where it was before. And honestly, again, I'm going to piss off a lot of people. I'm going to lose a lot of customers. Isn't it about time I rethink my pricing policy? Isn't it about time? I think these surveillance cameras are worth $150 a piece. And that's going to be one of the big things going on, right? You're going to have a lot of businesses in the chaos of figuring out what the value of a product should be. They're just going to be like, I think the value should be more. And for a lot of customers, what are they going to do? Like if you have already come to me, you've already decided you're going to use me as a business, the whole 9 yards. You've already been through this whole thing. And the price of the camera goes from $100 to $150. Are you really going to say no? Are you really going to say no? Probably not. But then you start seeing all of this horse crap just clogging the veins of our economic system as everybody tries to figure out, again, how this business of money should work. What are the values of items and the whole 9 yards? And so that's where, I'll be sad. I'll be curious to see where all this goes. It is weird to see now. So one of the big things with the Biden administration that really pissed me off was the whole, do you remember the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act? It was even called the Inflation Reduction Act. And you know why it was called the Inflation Reduction Act? Because it was the biggest piece of climate change policy in U.S. history to pass. What? Wait a minute. So the thing called the Inflation Reduction Act's big claim to fame is that it was a climate change policy. Again, one of the reasons I dislike Biden. If you want to try to pass a climate change policy, try to pass a climate change policy. But to call something the Inflation Reduction Act, and then literally its big deal is that it's a climate change policy, again, is one of the frustrations that I had, right? So anyways, one of the curious things, again, everybody knows, one of the reasons Biden got to go, right? Inflation. Everybody's talking about inflation. I don't know anybody that doesn't complain about inflation, right? And so now we get Trump administration in, and he's like, it doesn't matter. The biggest problem is immigrants and theoretically fentanyl, and that is what matters. So if prices are going to go up, people are just going to have to suck it up. It's like, oh, wow. Anyways, so we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. It's got to be an interesting thing to be thinking about business. And then how did the dominoes fall? That's what I talk about when my business closed, right? Look at my billboard. Remember I had a billboard? I had billboards. Anyways, that was the thing when the dominoes fell with the Great Recession. Because again, Bear Stearns fell. It was like, oh, too bad for them. And then, there started to be problems in the real estate market. And I was like, too bad for them. And then there's problems with the contractors for the real estate market. I was like, too bad for them. And then the people that supported those contractors had problems. And I was like, oh, that's getting a little close. Well, it sucks to be them. And then, they stopped paying for my services and everything I wanted to fuck. That's kind of what I wonder with this. Like everybody has this idea. Like again, like when you look back at the Great Recession, we look back at the Great Recession. It seems very again the fall of Bear Stearns. Right? There's this feeling like there was this moment in time. And again, when you look back now, whenever that was, 2009, 16 years ago, yeah, it seems like a blip. But that was a long damn moment in time. That was years. That was 2 years at least of shit sloshing around the system as people try to figure out what the hell was going on. Right? We just see that moment. Like with this, there will be a moment. There will be a moment. Right? And so that's with all of this going on is like in you and your business and everything else, looking at these macro forces and trying to figure out where to position yourself at. I've talked about this. My wife and I are thinking we might be leaving. We might be leaving the Asheville. And then one of the reasons is because of what's going on with the economy and the disaster of it all. Because, if you look at the macro forces, right, we see more and more layoffs. We see more and more layoffs of high value employees with not a lot of replacement, right? Again, I've seen it in the tech world, right? Wasn't that long ago, you go to a meetup, people are like, does anybody need a job? And fucking no hands go up. You go to a meetup now, how many people need jobs? Right? Right, you see this with the end of telecommuting, right? The Amazons of the world and the Googles of the world, Microsoft, and all these tech companies are killing remote work. And so think about what killing remote work does to a place like Asheville, North Carolina. You think about, again, the larger issues that are going on with the economy. And so this is something for you to consider is, again, how does this affect your 1 year or 2 year or 5 year outlook? How how would hundreds of thousands of square feet of office space, or probably millions of square feet of office space, hitting the market in your area affect you? Right? What are the things like the value of property? Again, think about that. Like how many was it REITs, real estate investment REITs? Anyways, real estate investment trusts. They're companies basically on real estate. What happens to those when millions of square feet of office space hit the market at a fraction of the cost of everything that's currently on the market? What happens with that economically? What happens when Canada pushes back? What happens when Mexico pushes back? What happens when China pushes back? What happens when other countries push back? Where are you positioned in that particular environment? I don't know. Again, it's literally what we're pondering. Literally what we're pondering. We're doing an extended stay in Miami. If you're in the Miami area, I will be down there for a while coming up shortly. Going to get a little fresh air and beach and see what it's like to be in a metro area with 6.7 million people. We will be down there soon, and yeah, and this is the kind of stuff that I'm thinking about and pondering again in the real world. That's one of the things I try to give you folks. Again, everybody else pontificates, but they don't really tell you what they're doing. Again, this is real for me. Again, that's like being here in Asheville. Again, with the macro forces, right? With all the work from home and all the idiocy going in California, we have so many California refugees that came here. One of the things that set this off for my wife and I to think about leaving is the cost of real estate here. So we bought our house, right? So we bought our house for an amount 4 years ago, over 4 years ago, that we thought was too much. We honestly thought it was too much. We literally looked each other in the eye and we said, look, if we sell this thing in 5 or 10 years, we know we're going to lose money, but we want to live in Asheville? And we said, yes. Well, now it's 4+ years later. We're looking at possibly changing the house. So now that I know how my business wants to work and she's doing some other things, we just realized, we just need a different layout for the house. I need more space for like an office. I need like 500 square feet for my little studio here, and she needs stuff, and it just needs to be laid out. Again, no big fucking deal. It's like what adults do. You're like, oh look, the house we bought doesn't quite fit our needs. We just need to swap houses essentially. Again, pay a little bit. Again, there's transaction fees and that kind of stuff. Pay a little bit of money for for swapping, but essentially one for one, more or less one for one. We're in a pretty good neighborhood, so same type of neighborhood, same type of house, more or less one for one. Yeah. In order to swap houses now, it's like 1.5. Right? It is over $1 million. I literally looked at a house, kind of commiserate to ours, but older. Ours house is pretty new, and it's $1.2 million now. At whatever the hell the mortgage rates currently are, and you're like, what? Again, macro forces. All of a sudden, it's like all I want to do is just plod along, see what houses come on the market, find one that's kind of like ours, only arranged differently. Have some more yard, have some more sunny yard so my wife can do gardening. Like, not a big fucking deal. And now all of a sudden, houses are like 1.2, 1.5 at 6% interest rates. And again, that's the kind of thing that starts making you think, right? Okay, it's like, okay, so we bought our house at this level and we can pay that. Again, from remote or whatever else, that's fine. Man, you start thinking about investing one point whatever into a house, into an area that basically has a McDonald's economy. That math starts looking brutal quick. On top of the other crap show that's going on here. And so those are the kinds of things to like really, really, really be thinking about. So anyways, I don't know. That's stuff I ponder. So yeah, so I'm gonna do we're doing the office hours today. Office hours 1 to 5 every Monday. If you go to silicondojo.com, we do those. I'm gonna finish that bottle class. I guess I'm not. Am I finishing the bottle class today? Oh, it is 10:36. Theoretically, I could finish the final bottle class. Theoretically, I could. I don't know. Maybe the bottle class will be up tomorrow. And then we'll work on the sequel light, and we'll keep going there. So, anyways, I'm just gonna keep trucking along with Silicon Dojo. That's one of the things to consider too with all this insanity. Again, whoever your favorite Nazi is, whether you thought Obama was a Nazi, or Trump was a Nazi, or Biden was a Nazi, or Trump is a Nazi again. Here's the thing to think about: is like this stuff matters again on that macro level, and again, it matters on a tactical level, like how you're gonna do specific things. But it doesn't matter on the stopping level, right? Again, I've been doing tech education now since 2009. I've done it under Obama, and I've done it under Trump, and I've done it under Biden, and we're doing it under Trump again, right? And it's just day after day. It's day after day. You wake up and you look at the environment. Sometimes your office should be here, and sometimes your office should be over there. Sometimes this advertising works, and sometimes this advertising works. Sometimes you buy a lot of fixed assets. Sometimes you wait on the fixed assets. You just keep using what you're using for a while. But the big thing is just keep pushing that ball forward. You just keep pushing it forward. Because I think that's a sad thing now is people are going through like this whole insane phase, and then they're stopping. Again, that's that whole thing of if the world is insane, why should I do anything? Because the world keeps moving. The world keeps moving. We have Trump now. We'll have some other jack. We'll have AOC. Maybe AOC will be above 36 by 2028. Then we'll have the next wackadoodle. Just gotta keep moving forward. That's the reality. It's environmental assessment, right? Situational awareness, environmental awareness. You have to understand your environment. You have to understand your situation. And within that understanding, you then plot your path forward. You don't look at a dangerous situation and go, well, it's dangerous. Can't do anything. Well, I would have tried to help, but it was dangerous. You look at the situation, you assess the situation, you assess the environment, you figure out your path, and then you do the best you can. Anyways, those are my thoughts. See you later.